Cashman, the man, the legend. He's been an unbelievable voice actor for decades, a voice coach for maybe that long as well. He's absolutely incredible, and that's the AI you guys are going to be talking about, right? I mean, he personifies that. This is going to be a good show. I'll be watching. Talk to you later, Mark.
Live from the beautiful town of Lake Vancouver in Vancouver, Washington, I am proud to present you the Aunty Sochelle Hour-ish show. And this week we have the amazing, the incomparable, the loud, the wonderful, the talky, the kind of awesome. You're going to love him. Excuse me while I wipe my nose. Marc Cashman. He's wicked cool. Mr. Marc Cashman. This is our second go at this because we had a technical difficulty in our first go. So I had to carry on that tradition by making it all screw up as I started this broadcast today. So
that's why we
clumped and sweaty, and the dogs might bark, and I'm not dressed like I usually am, but I did manage to do the coif. So
nice, very, very nice. But that's why we get to do it over again, because that's a voiceover. You get to do it over again.
That's right.
Right?
Over and over.
Yeah. Over and over and over until you get it right.
I just wanted to let you know that since we last spoke, which, the rest of the world has no idea about this, but Marc and I have been like old friends now for ages, at least weeks. But I picked up this lovely book, which I recommend to everybody. And I've actually been marking Marc's book up with things that are worth. I went to Powell's Books. I don't do the Amazon thing, but I went to Powell's Books, which is a local monster bookstore of used and wonderful, lovely crafts of books. And I recommend that book to VO Tips, Tricks, Tools, and Techniques, all your alliteration in one big label, to start and sustain more alliteration. Your voiceover career, you kind of lost the alliteration, but it's all right. You got vowels.
That's okay.
Everybody,
you
got to move your vowels, or you're going to get consonanted.
But you also have to have a subject, and basically it's your voiceover career.
Which is brilliant. There's this little hottie face right there. There's his little hottie face. He's married, ladies. Knock it off. And you too, gents. All right, let me put my eyeballs
So Aunty Sochelle, I'm going to reveal something that the world does not know. I'm going to reveal something to you exclusively to let you know that that book was written 11 years ago, came out in 2014, and after it first came out, I started recording the book, and I got about halfway through recording when all of a sudden I got very, very busy. And so my recording went to the back burner so that I could be working. Well, over the past 10 years, I've just been working. And just recently in this past year, things have slowed down enough that I was able to record the last half of the book. So by the end of this month, the audiobook for that book will be up on ACX and Audible.
Excellent news. I'm so excited. You heard it here first, everybody. The Marc Cashman VO book is going to be VO'd right here by the end of
Absolutely.
April.
Yes, but by the end of this month. Yeah, by the end of this month, it'll be up on Audible and ACX. Yeah. So, people said again, why did it take you so long to do the audiobook? It's again because I've just been that busy, and
which is not a bad thing. So that's it.
So you heard? No, I'm not complaining, but you heard it here first.
Oh, that's so excellent! I'm so proud of you. Awesome. Oh, I'm excited now.
I'm proud of you.
Download it and get it and put it in your pods and your little cars and your little thingamabobbers that you play with your audios. Well, I don't know what people use nowadays. I guess the Zydeco machine is not working, but yeah.
No.
I still use an iPod, so I'm one of the ancients.
That's good. That's good. You can. It's not illegal.
This is not yet. Who knows what's going to happen with the tariffs and things.
Don't get me started on that.
This is Trixie. She wanted to be a guest on the show, so here she is.
Hi, Trixie.
She is my service dog. She's only this big, so she only services my feet.
How old is she?
She is going to be 10 years old this year, but she reads like a 4-year-old. I'm so proud.
Did you have her as a puppy?
I did. She was this big when I got her. She's about the size of a hot dog. And
Yeah.
I used to be able to put her right here on my shoulder, and she would suck on
Yeah.
my ear. Like
Oh.
she was feeding on me. And then she
Oh.
got trained by a bunch of people in Detroit. So she's a Motown dog. And
Wow.
so she's a Veterans Administration service dog, which is kind of wonderful and awesome and cool.
That's wonderful. That's
But she knew
wonderful.
that I was
So
kind of
there,
getting frantic here, so she's supposed to calm me down. And that's
and
what she
she
did.
is. She's doing it, which is
That's her
great.
job. She's excellent. She just wants treats now.
That is her job. That is, and they like to have a job. Do you know
They
that?
do.
You know, it's like
If a dog
the,
doesn't work, they get so sad. If they don't have a task, that's why.
well, it just
All right,
it depends on the
completely
dog.
off topic, but when you
It
take your
depends on the
dogs for
dog.
a walk, part of the reason you
Yeah.
take your dogs for a walk is because they need the sense. They need to actively
Oh,
invigorate.
well,
their
they need
brains
to
with
smell.
scent.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So when you're walking your dog, you're actually walking your dog's nose.
Yes. Yes, their sense of smell supposedly is, they say, 700 to 1,000 times as sensitive as ours.
Yeah, and their
If you
ears.
can, if you can even imagine that, you think to yourself, well, what if I had twice this, the sense, or 3 times the sense of my nose? Can you imagine 1,000 times?
There's
They
a
go
lot of
crazy.
people I
So,
probably would not have dated. Had that been
yes,
the case.
I agree. I agree. That would
I
be a
got your
deal.
side, buddy.
That would be a deal breaker. Yeah.
So, Marc Cashman, we're introducing the
Yes.
world to you right now. For those of you who have no
Yes.
idea who Marc Cashman is, he is, again, he's probably been in your home or your car or both or your TV or everywhere. So, Marc, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, basically, I'm a voice actor,
Yes.
and I also teach voice actors, and I've also worked with voice actors on voice acting productions, radio drama, radio theater, video games, audiobooks. So I'm either working with actors on an instructional basis, working with actors on a director basis, or I'm on the other side of the glass as an actor taking direction. So I get to wear a lot of different hats. And of course, as you know, since you promoted my book, I'm a writer as well.
An excellent writer.
so-
He uses words
Thank you.
that are vowels
Thank you.
with letters.
Yes.
Actually, it's quite
Vowels,
well written.
vowels
I'm
help.
pretty impressed.
Vowels help. That said, so that's basically what I do and what I've been doing this is my 47th year.
I still don't think you look that old. It's no way.
47.
Wow.
I cannot believe it. 47
No, I
years.
can't
But
either.
that's how long I've been doing it.
That's amazing. That is so cool. And some of the things we might have heard you in. What are some of the commercials you have done?
Oh, there are just too many commercials to count. I can't.
Do you have any
I'm not the
favorites?
voice. I've never been the voice of
Okay.
anything. But I've done hundreds of commercials. Let me see. What would I be most famous for? Oh, if anybody's a video game fan,
A lot of my people laugh.
there was a classic video game that came out a while ago called Twisted Metal. I don't know if you ever heard of Twisted Metal.
It sounds like something that's right up my alley.
Well, anyway. So I was in the original Twisted Metal video game, and then I think the sequel, playing a plastic surgeon.
Oh, that's so cool.
And yeah, but my character gets his head chopped off with a machete. But it's a video game. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
That said,
Is it the player that chops off your head, or is it just the character does it randomly?
no. The story goes, I was one of the characters in Twisted Metal, a beautiful woman, gets in a car accident and she goes through the windshield and her face is completely disfigured.
Oh,
She comes to me, the plastic surgeon, to fix her face.
naturally.
Fix my face, doctor. So anyway, I fix her face, and there's just one tiny, tiny little blemish that I can't fix because just structurally, but the entire rest of her face, 99% of her face, is
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
But she can only see the tiny little blemish. And
That's all we do as women, you know that.
what does she do? If to repay me, she kills me. She chops my head off with a machete.
You know, the
And
healthcare in that city just sucks.
there's a famous shot on the internet of her holding my severed head by my hair. Yeah, yeah,
Viva la woman.
yeah. So
Yeah, you know, I
so
can
if you
relate
were,
to that in so many ways. Not the chopping off the head part, but definitely looking at
yeah,
the blemish and going, everybody's seeing this. This is what this person
yeah,
got wrong. It's actually,
yeah.
I
So
did
if you
look up that game last we spoke, and I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. So I did look it up. I'm not remiss in my duties as a fan of yours. So
it's if you like violent video games, it's right up your alley.
yep. Violence is good
That's it.
in video games, yeah.
Well,
There's
it
so
can
many
be.
things I'd like to destroy in real life, but if I get the, you know, the mouse or the controller going, at least I know I'm doing good for all cartoon kind.
It's funny. The only violence in video games that I enjoy is killing Nazis.
This is
I
the
take great
generation for you.
I take great joy in killing Nazis, and
I'm
so
so
any
with
chance
you
I
on
get
that.
to kill
Punch a Nazi
Nazis,
in the throat.
I'm really that's it's cathartic.
That's very joyful to me. You know, back when I was a child, mere, you know, hours ago, back in the 1970s, we won't say 1970s out loud, but I worked in a rehabilitation center for people who were imprisoned at Auschwitz, and they were in the mental institution of this rehabilitation center, and this is where I worked. And so I would spend hours and hours sitting with these people, listening to the stories of all the things that happened to them. And I'll never forget Sarah Silverman or Esther or all this, or the other Esther or the other Esther and the other Esther, and all the stories I would hear. And to this day, I cannot believe that people actually thought that was a good thing. I just cannot. I could talk days for that, but I won't. That's another
No, but
story for another time.
I
We
don't
want to
think.
go out and punch Nazis. We'll go together.
Yeah,
We'll go out and punch some Nazis.
yeah. I don't think anybody thought it was a good thing.
No,
That
well, there's
said,
some people that are trying
that
to
said,
imitate, and I don't like that. I'm
yeah.
not a big fan of the redux of the Nazi life. No.
Well, there are glimmers of it.
Yeah, sadly
It can be
so.
scary.
Which is why I play video
But that
games, to get
said,
away from people and things like that.
but yeah. So but again, getting back to that's the if you were to Google, if you were to type in dollface cuts plastic surgeon's head, you know, dollface kills plastic surgeon in Twisted Metal. Most likely you'll see that iconic picture. My daughter has a picture of, again, her holding my severed head. It's iconic.
It's like I bring my lunchbox into school. And, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a picture of my dad's head. You know,
It was more defiant. She was just holding it up saying, here, this is what I do to people I don't like.
I love
You know,
it.
it's really,
I'm gonna have to get that picture posted on the video when we post this out.
oh, yeah, yes.
So
Oh,
everybody
God.
can see it, because that's gonna
It's
be fun
pretty,
to look at.
it's pretty gruesome. It's pretty
Oh.
gruesome. I'm
Now,
glad
what
my
made
parents
you?
didn't see it.
What made you decide that voice was where you were going to go with your life? Did you say, I could be a doctor, I could be a lawyer, or hey, I could talk?
Well, I didn't pick any of those choices, but I did. But in terms of being a voice actor, what's interesting was, when I came out here to LA, I didn't come out here to be a voice actor. I came out to be a voice director and producer and writer. And
Did
when
you
I
do
started
advertising,
work,
copywriting, and things of that nature?
yes. And when I started directing voice actors and started getting clients, my clients would say to me, "Why don't you do this part?" And I would say, "Oh no, I'm leaving these to the professionals. I'm hiring professional voice actors, established voice actors. They're, these guys know what they're doing. And my clients would sometimes insist, no, we'd like you to do this part or that part. And so initially I declined. Well, I declined initially because I did not know what I was doing. But
That's fair.
it became apparent that I needed to know, needed to inhabit that side of things. I needed to be able to go on the other side of the glass. And so I immediately joined a workout group, a voiceover workout group. And I was lucky enough to get invited.
What is that? What is a voiceover workout group?
Well, a voiceover workout group is basically where a group of people, however many people are in the group, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 12 people, get together every week at a certain date and time, usually in the evening, after dinner, and rent a studio and work on scripts and work on performing. And we direct each other. It's a workout group, so we work out with each other. So instead of going to a gym to work out, you go to a studio to work out, and everybody brings different scripts and puts it into a pile, and we just pick a script and perform it and get feedback from our peers and be directed and basically work out every week. So I started doing this, and I did this every week for 6 years.
Wow. So you have really big muscles in your throat.
No, has nothing to do with that.
I know.
That said, but it is muscle memory. There's no question about that. But that said, that's basically it. So initially I did not come out here to be a voice actor, but it became apparent that I needed to learn how to be a voice actor because I was going to be involved whether I wanted to or not, because my clients were asking me to, and I said, okay, fine. So I'd do that, and so that made it even more fun.
Now, isn't it easier now that since you've had that background, that when you're directing somebody else, you are better prepared at directing them because you know as an actor what it is they need to do?
That's exactly right. And as an actor, I'm better prepared knowing what kind of direction I'm going to be getting. Excellent. So that's where they refer to me in the business as being on both sides of the glass. So basically, I'm in one room directing, or sometimes I'm on the other side of the glass being an actor taking direction.
Excellent.
And so it helps me be a better actor and a better director.
I love that. I love it when I'm in the booth and I got the microphone in front of me and I'm speaking like this instead of like this. And I have somebody talking to me and they're telling me, do it with a little more grit. And they know that I know what that means.
Of course. And you know what they know.
So there's words they throw at you. Some good directors will learn how you work. They'll throw words at you and you go, you want me to be more truck driver. Got it.
That's right.
A little bit more little old lady. Got it.
That's right. They got to speak your language and you got to be able to speak their language.
Now, what made you decide to go from directing and voicing to actually teaching other people? Ooh, I just went full Bobby Brady there, Peter Brady.
That's okay. That's all right. Again, you're just being you. So that's basically you're using your authentic voice. You don't even think about what it is you're saying. You just express yourself instead of being controlled. Yeah, there's no reason to be. But the question was what?
Okay, what made you leave, or you didn't actually leave, but what made you change from being just doing the direction and the acting to going into teaching?
Yes. Well, after 20 years of writing and producing and performing and directing, I started to see that there was less and less call for what I was doing. There was less and less call for creative, fun, entertaining, silly radio spots. And there was more and more call for just boring announcer spots that radio stations put together. Yeah. And so when a radio station when a client would call me up and say, well, how much would it cost to put together a radio campaign? And I would tell them, and they'd say, well, the radio station said that they would do it for free. and I say, well, I can't compete with free.
Yeah.
And
And
I
you get what you
and I
pay
got
for.
and I had those conversations after 20 years. I had those conversations more and more and more until I saw the writing on the wall, and I realized uh, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
And now, when you listen to AM radio, you hear hardly anything funny or interesting or entertaining. It's rare. It's rare that you hear anything interesting.
Yeah, it's more
So
Shields and
I,
Yarnell and not like the comedy
you just
duos
hear
from the past.
announcements. You just hear tons and tons of announcements and announcers all the time. That said, I realized after 20 years I had built up a lot of knowledge teaching wise.
Mhm.
And my teaching would be better than most teachers because most teachers were just voice actors. They hadn't done anything else but voice acting. I
Ah,
had done both.
so you had
And so,
the whole gamut of the experience,
right,
which
I
makes
just had
much
more.
more sense to learn from somebody who knows both sides of the microphone.
Yeah,
The butt.
exactly.
Yeah,
So they learned more than just voice acting.
excellent.
They learned mic protocol and studio protocol. They learned about marketing and promotion. They learned about the business side of things. They learned about all sorts of areas of voice work, not just being a performer, not just being an actor in a studio, because
Wow.
there's a lot more to go with it. Why are you being an actor in a studio? Because ultimately you want to monetize your talent,
Hmm.
monetize what you do. And that's basically what I've been teaching for the past. This is my 25th year of
Wow.
teaching. So
Wow.
I didn't stop writing and producing, productions. After 20 years, I kept on going, but just not at the rate, not at the high pace that I'd been for the first 20 years.
Now,
And
who were some of your influences when you were starting out writing and doing the more
oh, there's
entertaining
no
work?
question. There were two people. There were two people who were absolutely instrumental in being icons for me to not just fawn over, but just for me to emulate.
Cool.
And one was Dick Orkin. For anybody who doesn't know who Dick Orkin is, Dick Orkin was the creator of Chicken Man, which was a
He's
syndicated
everywhere. He's
series.
everywhere.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, not too many people know that, but that's Chicken Man. Dick was an amazing writer, a wonderful voice actor, um, and producer and director, and he was just a person who I looked up to, and
Nice.
another person was Stan Freberg. For those of you who don't know who Stan Freberg is, he was really the progenitor of humorous advertising. Every funny ad you ever see on the air has been as a direct result of Stan Freberg, and what he did way back in the 1950s, believe it or not. So that was
People were
70 years
alive
ago.
back then.
And that said, in the 60s, and so Stan Freberg and Dick Orkin were both living in L.A.,
Mm.
as were a number of other super top writer producers who were doing creative radio. And when I heard Dick, when I heard Stan, when I heard these other people, I just said that is what I want to do for a living.
I love that. I love
And
that.
then came out here and just decided to do it. I had no training and I had no mentors. Subsequently, Dick Orkin, I got to know Dick Orkin and a little bit, and he was a mensch. He was just
Aw.
such he was
Were you
just such a nice guy.
boarding when you first met him, or was it just,
Oh no, I never get fanboy of anybody because they're just people who put one leg into their pant leg at a time. It's everybody else.
and
So
I
no,
always
I
put
don't.
both legs into one pant leg because I screw it up all the time.
That's you're gonna have to. You may need some help there.
That's
I
true.
don't know if
I'll never have a
there's.
fanboy.
We that'll be another Zoom session.
Yes,
I'll show you how to
exactly.
put one leg at a time. That said, yeah, I got to know Dick a little bit, and he was just such an amazing person,
Aw.
and
What did he
and I was
impart
really,
some advice for you that you carried?
he didn't have any advice for me but somebody else in the business did, which always stuck with me, which was just great advice. That I kind of he confirmed what I already knew, but he but just solidified and just reminded me. It just made me mindful. He said, always try to make a living from what comes out of your head than your back.
Brilliant. That's well said. I like that. That comes from your heart too.
Well, that was
Yeah.
that was his advice, and I kind of knew that by then, but he just confirmed kind of what I knew, and I that's the advice I give young people all the time. And I was just talking to a student who called from the Midwest, a potential student who called from the Midwest. He had a really beautiful voice print, and he was a young man, 21,
Hmm.
21, 20, 23, 23, 23 or 20, young 20s, early 20s. And he's
Too young
living
for
in the
me to
middle,
date.
and he's living in the middle of the country, and I mean smack dab in the middle, not north of Iowa.
Kansas.
And 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 I said, "What are you doing right now as a job? What are you doing to make a living? That you want to be a voice actor?" And he said, "I'm a butcher." So he's cutting meat.
Wow.
That's his job, is to cut meat
That's a hard job.
5 days a week.
Wow. That's what my dad did when I
He's
was working.
20. He's 21.
Wow.
And I asked him, I said, "Do you want to do that for the rest of your life?" And he said, "I could." He said, you know, he said, "It's okay." I said, "Well, you know what? That's a good thing that you like what you do."
Mhm.
So this is another philosophy that I have, and that is, I kind of know that 75% of the people in the world, 75% of the people all over the world have to do what they have to do for a living.
Yeah.
They have to. They have to. They have
Just to
no
make
choice.
it. Yeah.
They have to do these certain things. 75% of all the people in the world. 20% of the people in the world do what they like to do. They like their job. They like their coworkers. They like their boss. They like doing what they do. They don't love it. They like it. And they like to do other things too.
Mhm.
They like their job. They like their job. 5% of the people in the world are lucky enough to do what they love to do.
Oh. And you're one of
They're in
them.
that 5% club. They're in the 5% club. And that's why I always um, uh, ask people, are you doing what you have to do, what you like to do, or what you love to do?
That's a good
There was
pyramid. That's a
there was
really
no
good pyramid.
choice. It's a great pyramid. And there was no choice for me. I had to be in the 5% club. I had to be.
Good for
That
you.
that was my underlying motive, my drive to do what I do. People say to me, "Well, weren't you afraid of not getting it? Weren't you afraid of failing?"
Isn't that part of it?
And I think that everybody has a fear of failure. It's just that some people push through it.
Yeah. I used to tell my students, I would teach improvisational comedy, and I would tell my students when they go on all their auditions, which a lot of them did in LA, tons of them. When you go to an audition, you're performing for an audience of 2 or 3. That's a performance. Enjoy that
Mm-hmm.
time. You're performing. It's something,
Mm-hmm.
if it's something you love to do, then the
Mm-hmm.
audition is a performance and you should love it too. It's not a scary
Absolutely.
thing.
If you're and as a performer, if you're not loving what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Right. Right. And that's
Right.
the hard thing for people to learn. They think that, a lot of us do this entertainment industry because we've got thick skin and we can handle rejection. It's like, no, we don't look at it as rejection. We look at it as, what did I learn from that thing? Okay, I did this audition. I learned that I wasn't supposed to say certain words, certain ways. They call it making choices in acting. Certain words, certain ways, or wear certain things, or maybe I didn't have the right look. It has nothing to do with me as a human being. It had everything to do with choices. It had nothing, and when you get that out of your head, it's so much easier to do entertainment as a living.
Hmm.
You know, I just
It
hope
can be, and
people pick up that someday.
it can be, but just remember, it's still show business, and
Yeah,
show
there's some
business,
vicious people out there too.
there's no guarantees of anything.
Out of all the
And
people I went to school with, I went to California Institute of the Arts, which I know you're somewhat familiar with. A lot of people I went to school with, some of them like Pete Docter, people have heard of. But for Pete Docter, there was 130 of us in that class as well who aren't Pete Docter. So it's a big
right.
industry. So,
Yes, absolutely. And voice acting, I always remind my students, voice acting is show business.
yeah,
It's an anonymous side of show business, but it's still show business. And
yeah.
there's a business side of things that where you could be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't have a business sense, you're not going to be going very far.
Now, this is actually leading into something I was going to ask you about. The last time we spoke, which nobody in the world saw except for us, uh, when people have to market themselves because
Hmm.
you are the product, you are the thing you're selling.
That's right.
What
Whether you're
are
doing voice
some of
work
the what
or
are
on
some of
camera
the
or stage.
yeah, what is the hardest part of that for most people, do you think?
There are so many moving parts. Sometimes it's overwhelming for actors who are just trained basically to entertain. They're not trained to be business people. But
Right.
this is a business. You are monetizing your talent, and you've got to learn the business side of things as well as the performance side of things. You have
Right.
to be able to have a balance of left brain and right brain. If you're stupid in your left brain business side, you're going to get screwed. So you have to have both sides of your brain working, and you have to be just as creative with your left brain as you are with your right.
Yeah, a lot of I see a lot of people failing on that. They don't get that you have to know how to market yourself. You have to know that you have to make networking. You have to make networking a thing in your life.
And nowadays, it's easier than it's ever been in history. This is the
Exactly.
easiast
No
way to,
excuses.
I mean, there are just so many ways for you to market yourself and promote yourself. There's so many platforms you can use. So it's endless. It's absolutely endless what you can come up with.
Um, there's one thing that I've noticed that is coming on in the world for those of us in entertainment. Excuse me, while I'm turning this off. I just realized my phone was still on and they didn't want to have that happen, ringing for no reason. What um, what is going on with AI as far as voice acting and things? I mean, now we're battling, not only are we having to market ourselves, but we have to market ourselves against a computer.
Well, in this particular case, don't forget what AI is. AI is a very, very smart computer and a smart computer program, but it's still a computer. So it
Mhm.
still takes orders from us. So I have a number of thoughts about AI because I'm asked about it all the time. I'm on panels and webinars and radio shows and I'm always asked about AI. My Some of my stock answers are AI is for most people what I call good enough. It's good enough. It's not great. It's not wow. It's not oh my god. It's not holy shit. It's good enough.
Yeah,
It's good enough. Well, good enough is good enough in some instances. It's good enough. Okay.
yeah,
But in other areas where it needs to be great, where it needs to be terrific, where it needs to be amazing, where it needs to be fantastic, AI is not going to be able to do it because they haven't learned how to mimic us yet in that area. They have
yeah.
learned how to mimic us in many, many ways, many, many ways, and that's its job. Its job is to mimic us, but it can't think originally. Can't think. So I look at AI. I always say you make AI your bitch, and 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 you can take AI and use it. First of all, it's going to help cure diseases. We train AI on genetics, and we're going to have the cure for everything you can imagine, including baldness. That's around the corner. By the end of this century, they say that the 21st century is going to be the century of genetics. And
Yes.
now that AI has come into existence, they're training it on genetics, and they are going to cure diseases. We're going to see we're going to see a cure for cancer in our lifetime. We're going to see a cure for all these different diseases in our lifetime,
Excellent.
diabetes, and they're going to work.
Yeah,
Take that
between the nanotechnology and the quantum technology.
nanotechnology and stem cell technology and all
Yeah.
sorts of things. It's going to be amazing. Space exploration is going to be amazing. All sorts of things are going to be amazing with AI. However, AI is like a lobster. AI is like a bottom feeder in our industry, and it's taking up jobs that a lot of people either don't like or they can't do. So I'll give you an example. ABC Publishing decides they want to come up with a new version of the King James Bible. Before AI, they would contact a voice actor. That voice actor would be in the studio for at least a month, every day, 5 days a week for 4 weeks, and hopefully get through the New Testament in a month. Then it would take another month to edit,
Right.
and then another week or so to master and then upload. It would take, therefore, there would take 9 weeks, 8 to 9 weeks
And that's
to produce the King James Bible. You have to pay the voice actor, you have to pay the editor, you have to pay the engineering master, you'd have
The
to
space
pay
to record.
the studio space, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Or the head of the CEO of ABC Publishing, he's sitting there at 5 o'clock and saying, "Yeah, I'd like to come up with a new version of the King James Bible." Goes to a website, click, picks a voice, click, picks the book, and click, pays for it. And the next morning he comes in, and that book's on his desk. That book is on his desk. It's done. That robot didn't have to sleep, didn't have to eat, didn't have to pee, didn't have to do anything.
Didn't take a
Okay, just
paycheck.
read, didn't take, and it
Health
was
insurance.
flawless.
Yeah.
It was flawless. Okay, so that's what AI is doing.
Yeah.
Here's my analogy for AI. I look at AI as 12 galloping horses, and we only have the reins for the last 2.
Nice.
That means there are 10 more galloping that we're still trying to get the reins on them while they're running.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do. That's my analogy.
I know
for AI.
there's a strike going on right now with a lot of the voice actors in the union, where we're trying to do stuff with, trying to make
Video
sure that
games.
our life's work still exists in games. And then you have Sony
Well,
saying,
well-
Horizon Zero Dawn can be done with AI. And you're,
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of they've been on strike for a long time now, and they all they want is residuals.
right.
They just want residuals, and they also want to make sure
Healthcare.
they want to guarantee that their voices will not be cloned and used in other video games,
Which is the
without
biggest
them
sticking
being
point right now.
without them being
biggest
there, or without them getting compensated.
Right.
Okay, so they say, look, you want to use my voice and have the computer use my voice, fine, pay me.
Right. Now, have you
There's
noticed
payment.
the Ghibli animation thing that's going on right now? It's kind of a big people trying to get their stuff looking like it's done by Miyazaki artwork. It's not the same. It's not the same, people. It's
Well,
not-
again,
you got a
just
cute
remember
look-alike.
that AI is a good mimic.
Yeah, but it's still
Very
missing
good mimic.
hot. It's still missing. Like we were talking
They're not
about
human
breath tone
because they're not human. They're machines.
Yeah.
They're machines. They're not human.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. There are a lot of companies out there who have the motto "hire human."
Right. Like if I see the line, I feel cold, an AI might read it as I feel cold. But I would read it, I feel cold. There's a difference. There's something I put into
Of course
it.
there is.
There's
Of
and
course there is.
the machine isn't going to know
That's the
that.
difference between. That's right. That's exactly right. So those people who are afraid of AI taking their jobs, just remember again, the more humanity you bring to your job, the less, you're going to be replaced, unless you are, let's say work at a grocery store. No matter how much humanity you have, you're eventually going to be replaced.
Yeah, as we've learned from self-checkout, it's still not fun.
No, it's not. It's not. And
I have one last.
companies would be smart to hire human.
Yeah, people want to interact with other people. You've seen in Japan, you can go to a hotel and be checked in by a robot, but they tried that here and it didn't work out so well. People were like, I don't want to talk to a robot. I want to talk to somebody that, has a 5 o'clock
and that
shadow.
may change.
Yeah.
That may change in another 20 years.
Maybe it will. Yeah, we'll all be living in Blade Runner.
Never know.
Yeah.
Or iRobot.
Or iRobot. Yes, that's the other thing we were talking. Did you ever see the iRobot original with the infection instead of the robots?
No, you were talking about that, but
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, for those who are film fans, do look up the original iRobot. It's a whole different animal than the Will Smith, but it does have the same message in a very different way of spinning it, but it does have the same message. The one last thing I wanted to bring up today, I don't have like goofy questions like I had originally planned for you, but I did have a serious question that somebody came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, you talked to Marc Cashman. Oh, I always wanted to know." And then they vomited about 75 questions, and I said, "Great, pick one." And one of the questions was, what makes a good reel for somebody who's starting out? Not somebody who's already been in the business and kind of gets that they have to do different types of reels for different types of jobs, but somebody who's starting out and trying to figure out, do I need an agent? What do I need?
So if you're just starting out, you shouldn't be making a reel. And they're not called reels anymore. They're called demos.
Thank you.
They're demos. A reel is a clear plastic hub that had 1/4-inch tape on it. That's a reel. We don't make reels. We make demos. Yeah. This is the 21st century, people. So if you are just starting out, do not make a demo because you're just starting out. Why would you make a demo if you don't know anything?
Exactly. So where would they start?
It's ridiculous. So
where would they start?
So they start taking classes. They start taking classes or taking coaching. And that's the beauty of it is there are classes and coaching. There are hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of voice acting teachers and coaches and classes online that you can take anywhere, or you can go, if depending if you live in a big city, they're still having classes in studios and things like that. But again, if you're just starting out, you've got to learn. You've got to go to school and you got to learn what you're doing. So don't make a demo before you're ready at all. That's just insane.
I find a lot of people will start throwing demos at you because they want to be in audiobooks or they want to do
that's different. That's different. If they've got a demo, that means hopefully they've been at it for a while and they know what they're doing. Because your demo is supposed to showcase you in your best light. And you basically the promise when you hand somebody a demo or say, here, listen to my demo, is you're telling the person what you hear is what you'll get. In other words, I'm as good as that demo. I'm better than that demo. You like that demo, then you'll like me in live, in person, real time. Excellent. But that's basically the promise when you're doing demo. But when you're just starting out, there's absolutely no sense and no reason to do a demo. And anybody who tries to talk you into doing a demo when you're not ready, when you're just starting out, is just trying to separate you from your money.
That's the exact conversation I had with that person. I said to them that they were telling me that they needed to get a demo on this website or they weren't going to get any jobs. I said, you haven't had any jobs. What do you get a demo for? Or a reel is what
you haven't had any training. Again, how are you going to do a demo if you haven't had any training?
Right.
You don't know what you're doing.
How do you know that what choices mean? When somebody says switch, what does that mean? When somebody says put the cans on, what does that mean? When somebody says
they don't know,
they have no idea.
That's it. So my advice is do not do a demo.
The basics of a studio.
Don't do a demo. Wait until you do a demo.
There's so much to learn. It's so mind-boggling.
There's a lot to learn.
And I love the idea that you had gone to LA and you had met with all these other people and you had, other voice people.
Actually, I didn't know them. I did not know any of these other people. I knew that they lived here and worked here.
An excellent way to start when you're just trying to figure out what classes to take and stuff.
Well, no, that's not, again, if you ask around, you'll be able to be referred to the top people in the business, people who say, "Oh, I recommend this person, I recommend that
Like
person." You
cashmancommercials.com.
yeah, yeah, again, it's only because I've been in the business as long as I have been.
Yeah.
And I've been, and plus just constantly, out there promoting myself. But I've also been a fixture at voiceover conventions.
Right.
That's the other thing. They have voiceover
Everybody I've
conventions.
spoken to says they know you. Every single person that I've spoken to in the voice
Wow.
industry has I had a nice long chat with Dave Jones. He knew who you were. He's telling me about you. I had a nice long chat with this other person. They know who you were. They're not on the show yet, so I'm not gonna say their name. Just all these other people were like, oh yeah, he's in LA and he did
Yeah,
it. He was at the school and he did that. I'm like, yeah, yep, that's him. Didn't he have a
I was
ponytail? Oh,
even
boy, yes.
I even taught at your school at California
That's right.
Cal Arts there
That's right.
for what
Cal.
7 years now. Yeah,
It's a great school. It was a great school when I was there. I don't know. So,
they treated me very well. They were really really nice.
it's some of
They
the
gave
best.
me everything that I asked for.
And some of the best students I've ever seen in my life came from that school because they learn to
Hmm.
learn, which I think is a
Tim Burton,
lifelong thing. You
Tim
have to
Burton,
learn to
Tim
learn.
Burton. Yeah, Tim Burton was
Oh,
an
Tim was
alumni.
amazing. He was in just before I was, and I got there just after he
Hmm.
left. And
Hmm.
but he would come back, and Paul Rubens, for those who don't know, that's
Yes,
Pee Wee Herman. But he came back,
yeah,
and we went to a reunion,
yeah.
and he was there. And one of my favorite dances of all time, I don't know if you know the dance world at all, but Jacques Heim, who now choreographs Cirque du Soleil shows, was in the same
There you
class
go.
as me. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still floored. He's like the Robin Williams of dance. That's how I used to call him.
Right. Yeah.
Brilliant,
No,
brilliant people. But
no.
I
The
learned
alumni
how to
list
learn
is
about
long.
dance from him.
Yes.
You know.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
And I think anybody who learns is lucky because they learn how to learn. you know, that's the best.
Sometimes yes.
Yeah. Well, and
Sometimes
I'm
yes.
hoping
Sometimes yeah. Sometimes they're not ready to learn.
that's sad
Sometimes the
too.
timing is not right.
So a lot of time people have intent to do something and then they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, teach me such and such. And you're like, I don't know if you're ready. Does that happen very often?
No, no. No. It's very rare that if somebody comes to me and wants to get started, we just get started and dive right in. There's no reason to hesitate if this is something that you want to do. The beauty of it is as long as you got a good internet connection, you can get instruction from anybody anywhere in the world.
That I love.
That's and this right now, there's never been a better time, there's never been more opportunity to get into voice work than there is now. Than in the history of voice
Despite
work. This
AI.
is
Yeah.
again, despite AI,
Yep.
as long as you've got a good internet connection, you can be involved in
And there's
this.
so many
It,
games and there's so many films and there's so many, I mean,
so
there's
many things,
so much out there.
so many opportunities, so many
Oh,
opportunities.
and there's things that
Yeah,
we probably haven't
absolutely.
even thought of that aren't even invented yet that people need voice for. Like I know that Harvard Medical School hired me to do a book, but it was an interactive surgery, which I had no idea. I was just reading text. But when I saw the final product, my voice was overlaying surgery, which was cool, creepy,
Very cool.
cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
But
Yeah,
that's stuff you get
absolutely.
into. You never know what you're going to find that
You
has
never
a
know.
boundary. And our
Plus,
businesses are
exactly.
anywhere.
Yeah. And
Facebook groups
your
have
words
auditions.
were instructing future surgeons.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
bizarre that you just have a conversation with somebody and you network, and they say, by the way, they need a voice actor for such and such, and next thing you know, you're going, okay, I'll talk to somebody in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Let's see what happens.
That's the life of a freelance actor.
Yeah, yeah. And my
Yeah.
acting coach is also in London, so
There
again,
you see.
living online.
Yep. No, that's
Living,
right.
yeah,
That's it.
makes me
That's it.
the glamour puss
Yeah.
theatrical expert that I am today. So do you have any things you'd like to impart onto our listeners, our viewers? Because this also goes on to Pandora and iHeartRadio and all of those things that are just audio, which is perfect. But it also goes onto
Yeah.
YouTube and video
Yeah.
locations. But what would you tell the listeners and viewers out there if you were just wanting to reach out to Marc Cashman, what would you say?
Well, they can. The beauty of it is that fortunately, since I've been around so long, they can Google my name, M-A-R-C, Cashman, C-A-S-H-M-A-N, and there'll be an embarrassing number of pages that'll come up where they can
That's
get a
cool.
hold of me. They can go to my website, they can go to my Square site, they can listen to me reading audiobooks, they can see, whatever it is, me on a panel or whatever the case may be. Bottom line is, I'm very easy to get a hold of. There's just a ton of information about me and how to get a hold of me. So if anybody's interested in getting a hold of me, they can. It's not like I'm an unknown.
And you've got
So
awards. I mentioned this last time, you had a hat award. You have all these awards.
Oh, that's right.
You have the hat
Oh,
award
yes.
again behind your head.
That's right. That's the award that I put my hat on, just so I could grab my hat when I'm going out the office. But yeah, no, they're those.
Cleo's.
Yeah, I got a lot of
Audis.
awards. Yeah, and what do they say? You're only as good as your last award, or something like that. You're only as good as your last job. I can't remember what it is. The bottom, awards are nice. They're confirmation that you're doing good, but you can't rest on your laurels for that. That said, anyone who wants to get a hold of me can. I got just a ton of information out there, and I work. I'm in LA, but I work online with clients all around the world, which is great. Yeah, well, again, it's just wherever you have an internet connection, you can work. So I've got clients in Japan and Australia and throughout Europe and where's Canada and different places in Central America and South America. Again, all over the world, which is fantastic. And again,
your students have been in a lot of things.
And my students, they're very famous, and some of them are, and I also get to collaborate with other teachers, with other instructors, with other actors, and so that's always fun as well.
I was going to ask you, finishing off this thought, is that you have part of your workshops where you actually allow people to audit. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. Yeah, basically, once my classes are online and scheduled online, once my classes get started, usually my course is 4 classes, 4 sessions, and I allow people to audit the second, third, and fourth session, just to listen in and be flies on the wall, so to speak, and listen in to see if it's something that they like.
Excellent. And it's so smart, because that's also a great marketing idea. Because you have people learning. I'm sorry about the dogs, people. My dogs are in the studio. But it's a great way to market what you're selling, and then people get a taste of, is this guy going to be a good fit for me when I'm learning from someone?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that's why I offer it. Very few people do that.
Which is sad. Because you're usually, you're such a likable fella anyway, so I can't imagine anybody not wanting to take a class with you personally, but that's me.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, Marc, I'm going to let you live your life. I'm going to tell you this has been one of my favorite conversations, because it has. This is our second big conversation, but this is the first one that we get to put out on the air, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very glad.
And it worked out.
Dogs interrupting everything. But
it's okay. They're dogs.
Yes, I know. Dogs do what dogs do. But this has been the Aunty Sochelle Hour. This has been Mr. Marc Cashman, who is, no, he's here. Yes, he's here. And he's been absolutely wonderful. And everybody, please go to his website if you want to learn about voice acting. He is the best teacher to learn this from. His book is outstanding. And it's going to be an audiobook in just a few weeks. So you can get that if you want to learn your audio tools from an audio guy. So Mr. Marc Cashman, thank you again for coming to the Aunty Sochelle Hour-ish show. And
thank you.
We hope we see you again, and we get to talk more about your illustrious celebrity clientele.
Thank you. You too.
It's so awesome to see you.